Hey there, my name is D.G. Valdron. I am a writer of science fiction, fantasy, horror, alternate history, and any other weird thing that catches my fancy. My books are available through Fossil Cove Publishing, and a couple of months ago, um, I had a book launch for a couple of titles, collections of short stories. So before I talk about the book launch, the first thing I'd like to do is give a shout out to the Manitoba Writers Guild. The Manitoba Writers Guild is a nonprofit association of amateur and professional writers dedicated to improving the craft. And they host book launches, they run programs, they maintain a newsletter service and mentorship for young writers, and they do a lot of good in the community. So it's nice to have that support, and I'd strongly recommend that you give them a shout, that you look them up, see what you yourself can do for the community, because if you need help, other people do as well. Be part of something. So anyway, I wanted to talk about my book launch. The Manitoba Writers Guild helped organize this event to mark the release of 2 volumes of collected short stories, Drunk Slutty Elf and Other Stories, and Drunk Slutty Elf and Zombies. Collectively, they're titled The Drunk Elf Chronicles. And as you can see, they're a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I mean, these are stories written in the vein of Terry Pratchett. The main character of several stories is a very intoxicated half-elf thief who is very incompetent and who has a gray space alien who has enlisted her to dig up parts of his spaceship. We also have stories about Dracula meeting King Kong, ghosts behaving very badly, a giant monster that never appears, barbarians at the theater, and Antichrist who can't get the apocalypse going. I mean, it's all tongue-in-cheek. It's all fun. Fantasy should have its fun bits. It's not all sermon drag. The event starts off, it was introduced by Sharon Hamilton, who is the president of the Manitoba Writers Guild. That was very nice of her. She came in, she gave us a speech, gave some background, mentioned things that people had said about me in my reviews.
The words most frequently used in reviews of his writing include the following: quirky, unconventional, playful, intensively researched, and these reviews in themselves are very interesting. Here's just a sample. D.G. Valdron is an utterly fearless writer. He's not afraid to be grim. He's not afraid to be silly. He writes to please himself and is very good at that. Frankly, I think he's one of the most original short story writers available today. No matter how unusual the premise or how unlikely the situation, he gets right down into the core reality of genuine horror in a manner you won't easily forget, even though you desperately want to. About the Mermaid's Tale, this book is violent and brutal and haunting and beautiful. If I could give this book a 6 star, it would. This book is a must-read, and we have it here too. It starts off grisly, but without even realizing it, you will find yourself sucked into the story, fighting the good fight, frustrated by the injustice, and rooting for the protagonist. D.G. Valdron is a brilliant writer, and I hope that he will continue with this main character. He is my new favorite author. You need to buy this book. You will love this book. And I think I will turn it over now to Dan. Here's the book.
Thank you.
Anyway, after a few opening words from Sharon Hamilton, we had a duet reading, myself and Roxanne Anderson. Roxanne Anderson is another local writer. She wrote a book called Moving the Flood. Anyway, the story that we did was called Courtesy Call, and it's about telephone solicitors from hell. It's a futuristic tale of capitalism gone horribly wrong and telemarketing without limits.
According to our records, you purchased a quality mark VL Trinitronic Macrodoby wall entertainment system a little over 3 years ago.
Yes.
And has it performed to your satisfaction?
Yes.
And how is it right now?
Well,
Yes.
Well, it exploded, actually, and it caused quite a fire.
Good. And this would have been on the 19th.
20th,
Mr.
actually.
Jones, may I call you Stan?
Sure.
And may I ask you a question? Stan, what are you watching now?
What?
Your television exploded, right? On schedule, right?
Yes.
So what are you watching now? Stan, answer the question.
Nothing. I'm not watching anything.
Don't lie to me, Stan.
I'm not lying. I'm not.
Our credit check shows that you purchased a Kaijorama mega screen unit
Oh,
2 weeks
Jesus
ago.
Christ.
That's right, Stan. We know. How was it, Stan? Did you like it Japanese, Stan? You couldn't even buy American?
Yeah, I know, but...
We don't appreciate this, Stan. Sneaking around behind our backs like that. We just don't like it.
No, listen, I had to. They infected my wife with the nerve toxin. We had no choice.
We don't want to hear your fucking excuses, you worthless piece of shit. You think we give a damn about nerve toxins? You think we're playing here? You think you can play games with us? You aren't taking us seriously. Don't fuck with us.
No, I'm not...
Your house is pretty flammable, Stan.
Oh, my Jesus, no. My firefighting premiums have lapsed.
Your negligence isn't our problem, Stan.
Oh, Jesus Christ,
Fuck
please,
you,
no.
Stan. Do you think we won't take your wife?
Oh.
You want to receive her thumbs in the mail? And by the way, we've got an excellent medical coverage plan that includes reattachments for only a nominal fee.
Please,
we
really...
know where you work. We know where your wife works. We know what hospital your son is in. How about a courtesy alcohol bath for him, Stan? How about we just go out and finish the job? Is that what you want?
Oh, no, not Jimmy.
You listen to me, you fucking cockroach. We nuked Baltimore. You remember that? We fucking nuked them.
Well, would you at least protect me from Kaijorama?
Stan, we don't do that sort of thing. We're a Consumer Products and Services Corporation. Besides, our protections show that you'll be able to make our monthly low reasonable payments without interfering with your financial obligation to Kaijorama or to any of your other secured service providers, including Jimmy's Hospital.
Okay.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah.
Stan, aren't you forgetting something? Stan?
Yeah.
Well, Stan, we're waiting.
Shop Smart. Shop S-Smart.
Excellent. Glad to have you back in the S-Smart family, Stan.
Yeah, thanks.
She heaved a sigh of relief. It had been close there for a while. But fucking Japanese, how were we supposed to compete with nerve toxins? It just wasn't fair. There was a sound of faint screaming, the soundproofing making it seem far off. The sudden odor of roasting flesh made her acutely conscious of her own leads jacked into her body and connecting to the workplace incentive unit.
Stan hung up the phone and he rubbed his temples. The door opened. He looked up quickly in sudden fear. It was just his wife, returning from her second job. He watched her move gingerly, her frame wasted by chronic malnutrition. She shut the door with awkward movements. Although her thumbs had been reattached, she'd never recovered full sensation or use of them. They stared at each other, despairing, gaunt, hollowed faces mirrored in each other's eyes. "We bought a new TV," he told her, tonelessly. "Oh, good," she said, tonelessly. I also did a reading from the title story of Drunk Slutty Elf and Other Stories. The Drunk Slutty Elf, of course, is a thief. She's promiscuous, intoxicated, and really not a very good thief. And in the story, she is recruited by a gray space alien who has no sense of humor and is looking for the missing pieces of his ship. And so they go off to have a misadventure trying to break into a necromancer's castle filled with booby traps. "I hear you're looking for a thief," but her announcement trailed off. She got a good look at the stranger. The being in front of her was gray, all gray. Its skin was rubbery. Its head was immense with two huge black almond-shaped eyes. The rest of its facial features were tiny. The mouth a mere lipless slit. Two tiny notches for nostrils. The rest of it was also incongruously off proportion with its head. The chest narrow, the limbs mere sticks ending in hands with incredibly long spidery fingers. The sight of those fingers gave Salva shivers. She wondered what other parts of him were long and spidery. "My ship suffered a reality core misfunction," he explained. "It descended from overspace, breaking up and discorporated widely in this realm. "Ah, sailor then. Dark Eyes, the sailor man. That's you," she announced confidently. "It wasn't that kind of ship." "Yeah, I know all about sailor stuff, swabbing, poop deck," she said brightly. "Not that kind of..." "Arr, arr, matey," she crowed. "Shiver me timbers, a pocket full of rum." "Not that kind of..." "Where's your parrot? All sailors have parrots," she announced loudly. "But..." "And a pipe. Sailors have pipes." "I left them at home." She nodded sagely. "I knew it. When you're a master thief, you don't miss much." "Yeah, apparently," he said. She stared. "Funny how you talk without moving your lips." "What's the job?" There's a person named Scabrous." "Malevolent? Is there more than one?" She swallowed her drink in one gulp and tried not to look sick. "Actually, yes," she said. "It was a popular name with moms back when the pox came through. There's Scabrous the apothecary, Scabrous the demented, Scabrous the shoemaker, Scabrous who lives with his aunt, Scabrous the occasional prostitute. She doesn't get much business." She looked up hopefully. "So, deal would be to steal some really nice shoes?" "This Scabrous lives in a tower of black and purple stone with a dark cloud perpetually above and surrounded by hellish rape beasts." "Oh, yeah. Well, can I interest you in shoes instead?" she asked brightly. To emphasize her point, she reached into his robes and felt around. Always a surefire winner. There was nothing there. No anatomy, no reaction. Disturbed, she withdrew her hand. "He has possession of an object I require," he said, ignoring the gesture. "That would be the paw of the golden monkey?" "No." "The glistening emerald eye of doom?" "No." "Nose pick of destiny?" "No." "Well, help me out. Scabrous the Malevolent is a total pack rat when it comes to mystical junk. What exactly do you need stolen?" Maintaining eye contact with the gray being, she switched her empty mug for his full one, sleight of hand being a particular skill of hers. Satisfied that he hadn't noticed, she spat in his drink and then put it to her lips. "It's a Tesseract information core," he said finally. "Ah," Salver nodded wisely, taking another drink. He still wasn't noticing. She'd gotten away with it. She congratulated herself on being such a brilliant thief. "It's from the gods?" "No." "Cursed?" "No." "Old family heirloom?" "No." "Well, any long and storied history at all?" "No," he said. "It's just a piece of technology." She made a face. "Monetary value?" she asked. "What's it worth in gold?" Irrelevant." "Oh, so it's junk. What's the point of even stealing it? Who's even going to care?" "It's a fragment of my ship," the gray being said. Salver rolled her eyes. The being paused as if thinking it over. "It holds great sentimental value for me," it said finally. "Somehow," she said, "you don't strike me as a sentimental sort." "Nevertheless..." "I charge double for sentimental steel," she said finally. "In advance." "I'll pay the bartender," he said. Salver kicked herself. She'd agreed far too readily. She should have tripled the price. She'd have to make it up somehow. She surreptitiously eyed the weightless bag of balloons that the creature seemed so fond of. Surely there was something valuable in there, some perk or benefit that she could keep for herself and that Logan Longlegs wouldn't cut himself in on. "Go ahead," she waved. "He's right over there. Go see him." As an afterthought, she called, "Oh, and have him bring more drinks. These were so full of foam they were practically empty. They're cheap. These should be free." After that, after the first reading, we did a question and answer session where people asked me questions and I tried to give intelligent, coherent, and reasonable answers. I'd like to think I did okay. I'll be posting some clips from my channel. If you'd like to hear the full questions and remarks, you'll be able to find them.
And I was wondering, I understand you have an affinity to Lovecraft. It's inspired some of your work. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Okay, yeah. I think I often write about powerless people or people who are at the mercy of power. Just because so many of us are, we have so little control over our lives. We have, and in this modern society, often I think people feel more like prey than citizens or even consumers. Lovecraft is an interesting writer, much maligned, and sometimes for very good reasons. He was, in fact, a flaming racist. I don't hold that too much against him when you look at the history and the time, and given how horribly, horribly racist all of our ancestors were. But I think he still has things to say, and I think that what Lovecraft really put his finger on that other writers really hadn't, and I think that's significant in modern time, is just how indifferent the world is. Lovecraft's horror is about a world in which we don't matter, which is completely and utterly indifferent to our lives, to our happiness, to our destiny.
Excuse me, after reading the first Drunk Slutty Elf, one kind of recurring theme I think I picked up on is that, and often comedically, the main characters are burdened by bureaucracies or corporations and their policies and institutional structures. Like Drunk Slutty Elf having to carry around a card to indicate what level of professional thief she is, to in Hard Day's Blight, hell is run as a bureaucracy, and the bottom rung devils are pretty demoralized by it. Was this sort of a deliberate theme that you were inserting?
Yeah, it comes back to the Lovecraft thing, to an indifferent world, and one of the horrors of life is that we have built indifference into our world. It's not just that nobody in the cosmos cares and an asteroid could come and kill us all, but it's also we create a situation, we create a world where we don't care about each other. Holy cow, that's both terrifying and kind of hilarious. And listen, about Drunk Slutty Elf in the card, I'm going to spoil this, but this is one of my favorite gags. She has a card that basically establishes that she's a certified thief. And she claims to be a 9th level thief. So she hands the person the card, and this card says it's only 5th level. So she hands over another card that says 4th level thief. She says, see, 5 plus 4 means I'm 9th level. And they're going, what the hell? And then later on in another story, she meets a person who's like a 40th level thief. And, she looks at his card and she sees that, no, he just scrawled in a 0 on the side of 4. And all she can think is, wow, I need to get a pencil really fast. Finally, the night ended off with a reading from Scott Ellis, another local writer who's done Benny the Antichrist and other stories, and Crawling to the Moon and other stories. Both very excellent collections. I'd highly recommend them. He's funny, inventive, witty, just a brilliant guy. He was reading a short story of mine about a cosmic janitor in a story called His Place, who finds that there's just something out of kilter about this third planet from the sun.
So there it was, an infestation. And as he bent down to wipe it clean, he noticed something extraordinary. They were worshiping him. He paused, just as he was about to clear them off. They were worshiping him madly, as if he needed it, or as if their opinions mattered to him. Fascinated, he watched them for a while. It was the most appalling display of sniveling he had ever seen. They exhibited thoroughly revolting servility, an astounding capacity for self-serving rationalization, and an attention span even he found difficult to measure. Vaguely disgusted but mildly amused, he decided to return to them later. They were still worshiping him when he returned, but now they had concocted all sorts of outrageous fabrications about him and were busily slaughtering each other over obscure points of doctrine. It became a regular point in his rounds. He would check them out to see what they were up to. There was the time they decided he was terribly concerned about whether or not they masturbated. In their minds, he was supposed to be fascinated by where they put their genitals. It was hilarious, in a queasy sort of way. By their persistence, he might have mistaken them for some sort of fungus. But fungus never whined that much. Sometimes he would actually speak to them, but it seemed to have no more effect than stirring a boiling pot. Then one day, he was startled to return and find them gone. The little speck of a world had been reduced to even tinier specks. Had they done that, he wondered? It wasn't, he told himself, as if he missed them. One could no more miss them than miss lint in their navel, or pine for a belly rash. or develop a fond affection for an open sore. All things considered, he thought, he was glad they had done away with themselves. It saved him the trouble.
Drunk Slutty Elf and Other Stories and Drunk Slutty Elf and Zombies are both available at any online platform, so you can find them at Google, Apple, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Vivlio, Biblioteca, Smashwords, Draft Digital, and I think even Ingram Spark. All you have to do is just look them up. They are available as ebooks and as print books. So, really, take a chance. Look them up. What could go wrong? Over the last 10 years, I've written a lot of other books on all kinds of subjects. I'd like to recommend a few of them to you. There is The Mermaid's Tale, a very dark, very grim fantasy about an orc searching a city for the killer of a mermaid and finding something even more terrifying. There is collections of short stories. Giant monsters sing sad songs. Dawn of Cthulhu. There are no doors in dark places. What devours also hungers. And The Fall of Atlantis. There's a fun little novel called Bear Cavalry, the true, not history of the Icelandic bears. And there are nonfiction works, such as Lex Unauthorized, about possibly the strangest, most surreal space opera ever made for television, and The Pirate Histories of Doctor Who, which is a deep dive into fascinating things about Doctor Who that you've never imagined, even if you're a hardcore fan. I've got information on stage plays, animation, fan films, and obscure corners. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Feel free to add comments. I may or may not read them. And you know what? Have a nice day. Really. I mean, life is beautiful. The world is out there. And here you are watching videos. Just have fun.